So I'm the Power Project user, and on my computer I've got a couple of files that I want to progress. We've progressed them to the end of December, but now we want to progress them to the end of January. So this one's quite a large, conventional sort of project with activities and progress and a nice work breakdown structure. So I'm just going to close that because I'm going to show you another project which is a residential one. So I also want this updated to the end of January by the site manager. And whilst I've got a few conventional activities here, I've also got mainly repetitive activities on one row representing the build stages coming from this library of what's happening on this plot, and I recognise the plot number by an entry in this column. So I've got two slightly different sort of projects. I'm going to send this information to the cloud so that it can be progressed by the manager on site. So on this computer, I'm the person who's going to export the information to the field. It doesn't have to be the Power Project computer, it could be somebody else in the office with access to the files, but I have been given the company details when I've registered for Astrocyte Progress Mobile, and so they've already been established, and I click OK. I've got to be on the internet whilst this session is going on. Essentially there are three things to do. We've got to establish the users that will be publishing and completing progress information, so we would add another user. So we might have Kevin, and we identify a colour that you'll see in a moment, and we can give him a password that will be used to log on to the remote application. So we create users, which we wouldn't have to do that frequently. We designate the project that we want progress to be added to, so I'm going to choose a project that's accessible to me, and then we marry the two together. So we have the projects and the users, and we say which person can update which part of the project. So if Jason is going to update most of this project, but later on Kevin is going to do the services. So we could have two different people updating the same different parts of the same project, and we only have to establish that occasionally, and then on a frequent basis, weekly, monthly, we would then say I would want to establish those projects that are ready to export, choose which ones I want to export, just the ones for Richard Ormer at the moment, what's the future date we want that information to be available to progress up to, and we would click on the export button. That's going to send the information into the cloud. It's then going to be available to progress. So here we have the remote device, the mobile device that I'm going to update on. This is an Android phone. It doesn't have to be a phone, so it's got a Wi-Fi signal, it doesn't have to have a SIM card. And at the moment of connecting, we need to have a signal. So I'm going to click on the app, the Site Progress app that's available from the App Store, on whichever device it is. I've already logged in, identified myself by company name, username and password, and there are the projects that have been assigned to me sitting on the cloud, and these have now been downloaded to this device. So I could now terminate the Wi-Fi or phone connection, walk into the field, and I'd still have this information to update. So first of all, we're going to look at the two-story mixed office project. We're going to click on that, and that's going to reveal other folders within it. We can take each of the folders, and we can look at those activities in that folder that have been designated for having progress due to happen. And if I click on that down arrow, I get a list of all the tasks within this subsection that are requiring progress. If they've got a red cross, they're due to have been completed. So this form on screen is about all the things that are happening to this particular task. So it was planned to be 100% complete as of the 2nd of February. Previously I've reported it's 95% complete, and by moving this slider or typing into this field, we can say what status it's at. So we can drag that along and say it's 100% complete. I can click on the notes down arrow, and we can add notes from a pick list that we can establish in the manager, or I can click on other and type in other information. So I can say we had a bit of a delivery issue with that particular activity, and so we can then choose another activity to progress, and so we go through the project, progressing each of the activities in turn. So in this particular case, we should also be 100% complete, and perhaps we haven't quite achieved that and we are 85% complete, and the reason for that is that there's a quality issue. I also want to take a photograph at this point so we can establish what's happening at that particular moment. So if I click on the Photos Attached section, that throws up the selector on the camera. I can choose from the camera roll if I use this section, or I can take a new picture using this section. So if we take a new picture, we can locate that on our screen, we can take a picture, we can confirm that, and we can go back to the application. So you'll then see we've got one photo attached, and that will be then uploaded to the system. So we go through the process of selecting activities and progressing them through the project. When we finish that, we can save at any point. That's saved to my local device, and I can go back to the work breakdown structure to look at any other part. But when I've finished entering progress, we click on the Submit button here, and that's going to send the information to the internet, into the cloud, and we can download it again. So I'm going to click on the in the project that I want. I'm then going to click on the Submit button, and that's going to send the information from this device back to the cloud. So I do have to be connected at this point. So it's then submitting that information, including the photograph and the notes, sent it to the cloud. So on my list of projects, I only have one project remaining. So if we look at that project, because it's got a slightly different structure, and it's got a section at the top, it's got one section called Turnaround and another called Tick Sheet. And the turnaround is what we've looked at already. We've got a list of those tasks that need to be carried out. We can say how much has been done. We can say what the remaining duration might be. But also on the Tick Sheet side, these are the activities that had a plot number against them. So we click on the plot list box, we get a list of all the plots that we can be working on, and we get a list of all of the build stages that have been achieved. So we can see there that we've got 06 brickwork 2, so this brickwork second lift, it's green. So if we have done any part of that, we'll be ahead of program. So if we've done any part of these previous ones, we'll also be on program. So I'm going to say we've done everything first lift brickwork with a tick, and it's going to automatically tick everything before that, but we've only done 50% of the first lift brickwork. So we can also take photos of that situation. So we go through each of our plots saying what's happened to each of these stages in turn. And at the end of that process, when the person's happy with that information, they would submit that, and it would go back into the cloud. And there'd be no projects left on this device. They're all sitting there waiting to be downloaded and update the project plans in Power Project. Information from the remote device, the remote progress entry, is now on the web and is ready to be imported. So we can see from our list which items have been submitted. We can say who's done them, at what time they were done, and we can choose which ones we want to import. And we again choose the right date that we want to import again. So we click on the import button. The information is brought down from the cloud and integrated into the Power Project plans, and you get information about if there's been any issues or warnings. So that information is now available to look at. So we can look at the projects in Power Project, we can look at our mixed one. So we've got a red line down the screen. It's created a new progress period, and so we could, it's just like any other progress period, we could change its name. So we might call that January 14. We can choose a different colour if we want to. So all of those things just as normal. That's just another way of getting the information into Power Project. There's the note that we made, which was date stamped. So it's only a quality issue. It was on the 7th of April, the date that we imported it. But also we've got a column on the right hand side, which is a hyperlink to the picture that we took. So if we alt-click on that hyperlink, it's going to open the picture in whatever viewer that we've got on our machine, and we can see the picture. So the picture is connected to, not embedded in, the program. So if we'd have done the progress properly, we could reschedule that. We might want to reassess that if we don't think they've done different parts, or we know they haven't. But we can. This is now just a Paraproject file that you will edit. And so if we also look at the residential project that we entered progress in, and again the same thing. We've got a red progress period. Let's make that blue so we can see it. So those activities that are marked blue have been done, so we're ahead of program on this one. We're on program there, we're behind program here. So just a very good way, very quick way of remotely getting progress into the project.